I had just seen the news recently that Kevin Smith was laid up in the hospital after a heart attack, and that he's now talking about his health in terms of being on borrowed time. I think that's very sad. If you're my age and a guy like me, I think that Kevin Smith played a large role in making you happy during that time. He made your movies, basically. Like, he made the movies that felt like they starred you and your friends. And I even modeled my appearance after Jay from Jay and Silent Bob. But on the inside, my personality was always best represented by Brody Bruce for Mallrats, and he still very much is. I even owned that brown corduroy shirt he had, and I had these t-shirts from The Onion in its prime in the 90s, and they said things like, "You are dumb," and "Your favorite band sucks." Just that perfect Brody Bruce sentiment, you know. And I would go to the mall and just, kind of shoot the shit and hang around because it was the 90s and people still weren't as afraid to go outside anymore, and especially to hang out with their friends, you kind of had to go somewhere to do it. And so it was a place like the mall. And that's where you met up with all your buds and fucked around. And I feel that Mallrats captures meeting up with all your buds and fucking around at the mall perfectly. And it sucks. Like, I went out and I bought the extended edition Blu-ray, and I popped it in, and I was hesitant because I'm not an extended edition fan. I'm not, and that's been ever since the special editions of Star Wars came out. Yes, I'm one of those people where I saw it in theaters at the time. I was so hyped, and then every single change grated on me like a record scratch, where it's like my nostalgia had been disrupted and my original memories had been disrupted. The natural flow of the film as I remember it had been disrupted. The natural arc of the story had been disrupted. And so to me, this was like a new film. We didn't have Fruity Loops at the time, but it was almost like someone threw Star Wars in a Fruity Loops sort of DJ mashup. And I'm like, all right, well, this is a new thing now. It's not the Star Wars that I remember, but it is what it is. It's its own thing now. I have to make a distinction between the original cuts and the theatrical cuts. I can't watch them interchangeably like a lot of people do. There's even an extended edition of Dumb and Dumber out there that has inserted jokes and things, and I hate it because it's not how I remember the film. It's not the original beats. It's not how the jokes were originally delivered. And that's exactly the effect that happens in the Mallrats extended edition, where right out the gate, it gets off on the wrong foot. It's missing Brody's voiceover. And it doesn't start off with this, like, the one time my uncle got his cat stuck up his ass. It doesn't... it starts with this pan-down shot of the governor's ball. And it's giving you all this backstory for why Michael Rooker, Yondu, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. It's like, he's the villain of the film. And it gives you this sort of unnecessary backstory for why he hates T.S. or Jeremy London's character. And, like, it resets the event. Okay, let me get my thoughts together for 1 second. So, because it's just frustrating to me. I wanted that Brody Bruce cat stuck up the ass voiceover over the food court, and instead you get this governor's ball shit, and Michael Rooker is like, oh, I need a grant to put on that game show for later, the game show, the dating game show. So he's hitting up one of the governors at the ball for this grant so he can build the stage. And T.S. is up on the roof dressed as Paul Revere, musket and all. And they explain this with, I'm in the musical. It's clearly like, so a reason to get him up on the roof of the school with a musket. And he's up on the roof because his girlfriend Brandy is up there with a telescope. And she's like quoting, she's quoting Oscar Wilde going like, even though we're in the gutter, some of us are looking up at the stars. And so that's the excuse to get them up on the roof with a telescope, and he's dressed like Paul Revere during the governor's ball. Right? It just feels very contrived and very like, why are we doing this? He could explain this in a line of dialogue later, and he does, doesn't he? But it's totally unnecessary. It's exactly like the prequels. It's like he prequeled Mallrats. He puts in this like backstory for Vader, like the the Vader equivalent of the film, Michael Rooker. He gives him this, like, this is why I hate you. This is my motivation. Who cares? He's the Dean from Animal House. We get it, you know? He doesn't have to be anything more than that. He's the crusty old Dean. Oh, and Michael Rooker nails that in every scene. You don't really have to go into, like, the governor tore up his check to build the stage for the dating game, so that's why he hates TS. And the governor tore up the check because TS was on the roof with a gun and her Secret Service detail yells, "Sniper, sniper!" And Michael Rooker tackles her, and now he's got his head between her knees, which might be a setup for the head between the knees joke with Brody later. Might. I'm going to give Kevin Smith credit for that one. But even so, it's like at the end of that whole 12-minute prologue, all of the events are reset. And the check that's supposed to go to Michael Rooker, the governor tears it up for tackling her. That's it. And then he goes to TS like, well, since my daughter was up there and I can't turn you in without implicating her, I hate your fucking guts. And it's just like, it sets a very specific reason to hate TS instead of like, you're that punk kid in the flannel shirt. Oh, I hate your guts. You don't work hard enough. That was supposed to be the whole thing. Was that parents like Michael Rooker don't like you for no reason because you're a slacker. You know, like I refer to slackers in my other video. He's like, you're a slacker and you don't work hard enough for what you got. And you're a trust fund kid. And it's like, you're supposed to prove him wrong. You're supposed to save the day and prove that you're not an asshole. And that's okay. I believe in that. It's like, I think it's all right. And like Michael Rooker's supposed to like, you know, pat you on the back and slap you really hard on the back at the end and be like, you earn my respect, you motherfucker. It's a nice arc. But instead it has it where it's like this Neo and Smith like inexorable battle between them now. It's stupid. And it also disrupts the rest of the film's special edition style because now they have all these extended scenes of people referring to the shooting. Like, or the, you know, the Paul Revere event. You know, the false alarm. So now people are like, you know, even Brody says things like, holy shit, if it isn't Mon Frere. And that's where it's supposed to end, right? But now he's like, holy shit, if it isn't Mon Frere, I saw you dodging helicopters on CNN. You know, aren't you taking shots or something? You know, and it's just, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Even someone like sticks his head into Brody's basement to mention it. And you're just like, no, this whole Paul Revere false alarm thing ruins the whole fucking movie. It was left on the cutting room floor for a reason. And it really feels like Kevin trying to make his own special edition of Mallrats. Trust me, Kevin, we don't need a special edition. We don't need a static shot of T.S. and Brandy in front of a telescope.